How's it going, guys? Welcome to Audio Addiction. We have Anxious Arms with us, and he can say his name and what he does in the band.
Hi, my name's Kyle Bulla. I play guitar and sing in Anxious Arms.
Awesome, Kyle. So the first question is, obviously the most important one. Tell me about your band. Like, how did you guys formulate? How did you guys come together? And how do you have, the members that make up Anxious Arms?
Well, so Anxious Arms has kind of been a project that's changed a lot of personnel over the short time we've been a band. We've been playing shows as Anxious Arms, I think, about 3 years now.
Oh,
but
wow, cool.
when we started, we were like a three-piece kind of like alkaline trio type thing. We were definitely like a kind of like a pop punk band. We had our bass player. We kicked out the day we were recording our first EP because he didn't show up, and then we've had multiple bass players. Christian, who I think you've interviewed before from Fake It.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, he filled in for us, and we started touring about 2.5 years ago now. And so we just started touring immediately, and so we always just had different people going in and out. Trent, who was our first drummer, he was with us for about 2 years, and then he got accepted into UCLA Law, like
Nice.
full ride. So he was like, "Hey man, got to go do my thing." And so it was fine. And then so we got Zach. Zach's our drummer. He plays in a band from LA called Farewell Familiar, and he contacted us before a tour because we were looking for a drummer because Trent couldn't make it. And he was like, "Hey man, I'm like a fan of the band." He's like, He pretty much said, "I'm gonna be better than anybody you can get." And I was like, "Okay." So
yeah, show me up, bud.
yeah, dude. And it turns out he's like one of my best friends on the planet. So it has worked out perfectly. Our bass player Jack plays guitar in Fake It. We went on a tour with Fake It, and I was like, "Hey, you want to join the band?" And he's like, "Yeah." So, and then our guitar player Twan, he kind of played in pop punk bands. He was in a band called Hard Feelings that we played with quite a bit when we were first starting.
Okay.
And I didn't know that Twan played drums or anything, so he actually filled in for drums for us a couple times. And then he became such like a friend that he joined the band too. So it's a long web of stories, but right now we have Zach, Jack, and Twan, and I think that we're going strong from here.
There we go. Shout outs to Jack. But I did mention this before we started doing the interview, but I want to give a massive shout outs to Zach because so I went to go message Kyle because we were like, whenever I set up interviews and stuff, like I'll like hit up people and be like, "Yo, you still down to do this? Are you still available?" Because all of the things that are happening currently. And so I was like, for some reason I had like a brain fart and I was just like, didn't message Kyle. I messaged Zach. So I messaged Zach and I was like, "Yo, Zach, are you free to do an interview?" And he was just like, "You might have another Zach. You might be confused with somebody else." So Zach, if you haven't watched this, that is the reason why. So now I know that Kyle is Kyle and that apparently is not Zach. So now I'm gonna get everything straight.
Yeah. We're both burly men, but he
That's
has red
true.
hair. That's how you can tell us apart.
Well, now I'll definitely know because of the sheer amount of regret and just like complete sadness I feel right now. So, but anyway, the next question is, this one is also a little bit sad as well, but what are some favorite venues in the area that you guys like to play at and hopefully we'll be getting back to be playing soon?
That's an interesting question. So I would say in terms of sound, I think the best venue we've played is probably Holy Diver, which is
nice,
like a 500 cap room, 300 cap room maybe, smack dab in downtown Sacramento. It's across the street from the Press Club, which is a very historic venue in Sacramento. It's where Deftones got their start.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool. There's a lot of cool art on the walls. and it's upstairs. So we play big amps because we're just like that. And so that is kind of a pain in the ass having to have the amps and everything, hauling them upstairs. But I would say the sound's really good. The sound guys there are very nice, which is brilliant because that doesn't happen a lot. And yeah, so I'd say Holy Diver is probably my favorite venue to play. But there's also a DIY venue in Sacramento that's like 75 cap, and it's called The Colony.
Oh.
And that's where we got started. Our music video that we just released, that's where that was filmed at. So it was, it's a very accessible place. It's a place where young bands can learn to be a band and play in front of people. It's in the city. It's not too far away. So I would say in my heart, The Colony is my favorite in terms of like being a band that's trying to be professional, kind of. I'd say that was probably, in terms of sound, my favorite.
Yeah, give yourself a little bit of credit, Kyle. I feel like you got a good following. I checked it all, so I try to do my research. So I felt like when Jack, shouts to Jack again, when he was like, "Yo, who should I interview?" and stuff, I was like, check out Anxious Arm. I'm a part of this band, and I was like, I gotta get them on because they got a good following. You got stuff coming out soon, so I feel like gotta keep the wave of good things going. But I do love those smaller venues, and I love when bands say like, obviously, who isn't gonna say they love like a large venue that just, especially if it's something they enjoy and something that they dreamed of playing. But I think it's something extra cool when a band's like, I love like a small ass room, like where I'm like, I can literally like look somebody in the eye and be like, lock in and stuff like that. I think that's really cool. And whenever bands, not to say that they lose sight of it, but I think I appreciate a band that is willing to play those small like gigs. Like I just saw like Norma Jean recently do those like small house shows of just like people like they didn't know, or they probably knew a little bit, but like those smaller shows where they're just like, everybody's just like, if you've seen photos, they're like packed into like a small house. It's great. So I think when I see bands and have bands on here that have that same sort of mentality, I think that's awesome. So definitely Colony, shouts to them, and hopefully they're staying safe out there too. But yeah. But the next question is, Kyle, to follow up the venues, what was the last show you attended that you didn't play?
Oh shit. That's harder than I think the last show I've seen was Meshuggah and Code Orange at the Ace of Spades in Sacramento, which is like our bougie venue. It was pretty dope. I'm a big Code Orange fan. I definitely I like Meshuggah too. But Code Orange was just, they're not as mainstream popular as Meshuggah, so a lot of those fans were, kind of classic metalheads. But they were just, it is so cool to see a band with like mainstream, a minor mainstream success, at least on a mainstream stage, just bringing that basement DIY energy, and just, they're literally climbing up the rafters. Yeah. Which, like, their guitar player, like, jumped off, like, 10 feet. He did, like, a Ted Nugent, like, jumped off the top of the amps and stuff. And it was, like, it was super dope. And just to see that, like, because Code Orange kind of comes from that DIY background, as we do. And so to see them take that energy and to not conform to rock star bullshit and things like that, it was very cool.
Yeah, I watched the live video they did for their new record, Underneath, I'm pretty sure, or something. Yeah, something to that effect. I don't want to butcher it because it's really great. But I watched that and I was just like, holy shit, like that. Yeah. Like, even no one's in the building except for the people like putting the show on, and I was just like, that's like. I can imagine people being in there and just being nuts. So I'm like, if they're just going as hard and there's like no one behind them, can't even imagine like a full room. That's wild.
Oh yeah, I think I heard something where like their singer was like, because it was on Twitch, right?
Yeah, it
Like
was on
they're
Twitch.
talking
Yeah.
on Twitch, and he was like, "Come fuck on Twitch, let's go Twitch." And so it's like that's fucking badass, dude. You
Yeah.
know?
I mean,
Um,
that's. I mean, I guess it's, you know, like this. The saying goes is like, and you have lemons, you make lemonade. So I feel like they were really doing what they did. What did you think about the new? What do you think about the new Code Orange? Have you listened to it yet, or?
I did, yeah. I like it because it's a little like it's you know, it still has the heaviness of Forever, but it's a little less glitchy. It's a little more straight ahead, just a little bit. And for me, I think that's more, you know, I like that a little bit more. Because like Bleeding in the Blur, what I love about that song is that it's just like a straight up, like, you know, radio rock song that's
Yeah.
just hard as fuck. And that's so cool to see because, like, to have bands who are like, you know, very much genuine, but can still write radio songs. I think that's kind of, you know, what rock was missing here for a little while. So like to see bands like that in the mainstream that have that energy and they're no bullshit, but they can write songs that, like, you know, that are, you know, pretty straight ahead. I think
Yeah.
that's bad.
No, I would 100% agree with it. I've only listened to it like a couple times through, and I'm hoping to kind of delve into it more since we do have more time to listen to stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I thought it, like, cause I had made like a post on Facebook, and I was like, going to the gym, I need like some heavy shit. Like I need somebody to tell me like what should I listen to, and like I had a bunch of friends like message me like the Code Orange track, or just like Code Orange in general. They're like, you need to listen to this. This is the workout jams. So not to say that they're just exclusively workout jams, but, you know, jams in general. So shout
Yeah.
outs to Code Orange if you know, if you feel like watching this, you know, who knows. But the next question, Kyle, my personal favorite, what are some of your musical influences? Who do you draw from, and, you know, stuff like that?
Well, when we first started, we were very much influenced by that run for cover scene, you know, so like Basement and Super Heaven and things like that, Turnover, Title
Turnover,
Fight.
yeah.
Because when I first started playing in bands, I kind of played in like a butt rock band. I grew up in the country, so when I first turned 18 and I went to college, and I had no idea about alternative music really at all. I knew about Deftones, and I think Deftones was probably the most alternative band I knew. So I played in this band. They were kind of popular in the area. Got experience how to play in a band. But as soon as I found Run for Cover stuff, like as soon as I found Basement and Title Fight, I was like, these are bands that are rock bands, but are not, you know, fucking lame. So I was like, once I found that, I was like on it, you know. And so we were very influenced by that when we started. But as time goes on, and you tour and you play as many shows as we did when we first started, I kind of started to realize it's like, you know, I kind of want to branch out a little bit and kind of do something a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a teenager, I was super into just straight up metal, like Metallica, Slayer, stuff like that. So what happened is that we started to transition from kind of like a, you know, post-hardcore band, and with this new album, it's very influenced by metal. So like this band Typo Negative, which is like, you know,
Yep.
big goth metal band from the '90s, and bands like Code Orange, and there's this band called Crowbar, which is a
Yep.
sludge metal band from New Orleans from the '90s, and I just fell in love with that heaviness. But what's so great about bands like Crowbar and Typo is they have this really aggressive heaviness, but there's also like a vulnerability to it that spoke to my emo self, you know. So it's like finding that good in between, you know.
Oh no, I totally get it. And like I said, Jack had sent me over some stuff, and I checked out the most recent thing you posted. Because like I said, I try to do my research whenever I have bands on, and I was like, because he was really like pushing for you, and I was like, yeah, I gotta get Kyle on here, and I remember him asking like the first time, and it was like earlier not earlier on in my career, but it was just like earlier on, like I think it was like after he was doing some of his stuff, and he's like, "You gotta have Kyle on. I just joined this new band called Anxious Arms. You should check them out." And I was like, at the time, I was like, "Dude, I am just busy. Like, I'll go check them out when I get the chance to." And then, ironically enough, it just slipped my mind. And then when I had made a post about this, I was just like, I remember Jack telling me about this band, so I was like, I really need to go check him out now. Because I feel like if he's going to say it a second time, it's definitely worth checking out, because I feel like he's no bullshit. So I went to go check it out, and I was just like, okay, I get it. Like, now I get it. Like, I listened to it, and I was like, and whenever I ask this question, it's cool to kind of like hear what you're saying in terms of influences and kind of like mesh it up with the sound. Like, obviously you don't want to sound exactly like them, you want to have your own sort of set of like musical things going on, but to me, like, you know, it's good for me to kind of get an idea of where a band comes from and like where they draw from and stuff. Like, so when I'm listening to this song, I'm like, oh shit, that all makes sense now. Like, so when you had mentioned like Typo Negative, I was just like, okay, I can see it. Like, I can hear it, I can envision it, I can kind of like see it lyrically, and I like, as you were mentioning, like all of those Wrong for Cover bands, I get it, like, because they also have kind of a like vulnerability to their writing styles too. So I'm very excited to see what the rest of the record sounds like, because I feel like it's kind of like the fine line between like metal core, like metal, like old school kind of metal-ish vibes, and like post-hardcore, and then just like a dash of like emo in there. So that's how I feel like, and you can tell me if I'm close, or, you know, if you can tell me if I'm wrong, because I would be curious to see if I'm anywhere close to your, you know, what your vision is of Anxious Arms, but I feel like I'm kind of close.
Yeah, and that's great that you say that, because that's kind of what we're going for. You know, is that kind of metal, but post-hardcore mix. It's just, you know, the thing is, when we're writing this record, is that we wrote it in like not very long at all, because we were all busy. Jack and Zach were touring with Fake It,
Yeah.
and so we had written the songs in like 2 or 3 days. And so we went, and me, my girlfriend, and Twan flew out to Texas to play Sunday Drive Records.
Oh, wow.
Sunday Drive Fest. We flew out to play that. It was like one of the best shows we've ever played. It's like 110 degrees in this brick building. And it was great. And we flew back, and, you know, I was starting school. And so this was like in August, and was like, well, we got to record, so we don't really have an option. So we had to record when we got back without preparing. And so Zach and Jack recorded drums and bass together, and they just kind of went in and they just played their asses off. And I went in and kind of formulated the lyrics and some of the more guitar parts afterwards, but it's very much like these songs were something that were not premeditated very much at all. It was very much like, we're just going to roll with it and see what comes out. And I'm very happy with it, because I think that it does kind of have that genuine mix of influences without being too one-sided to one kind of genre or something like that.
No, I feel the same exact way, and I also feel like, and I didn't even know that, but I felt like, and obviously I wouldn't have known it, but I feel like it has this honesty to it, like, you know, like you're saying, you had, like, you're kind of like up against a wall in a little bit of a sense. Obviously not like, oh my god, what am I gonna do, but like it has that that urgency to it, but also like there's this honest, like there's this honesty, like you're not holding back, because you're like, well, we only have this much time to do it, like, let's just go for it. Like, I'm gonna cut it straight from the heart. So like, I feel like for me, it has that honesty, and like another band that I feel like, at least in my mind, that was another band that I could think of, maybe not so much like sound wise, but like Counterparts is another band that I think of, like in terms of just like the rawness. I was like, yeah, they got that like Counterparts raw like element. I don't know what it is, but I know like anytime I listen to a Counterparts song, I'm like, either want to like go cry, or I want to like mosh pit in my like house. You know what I mean? Like, so that's how I felt like when I was listening to this stuff. I was like, there's kind of like a mix of that, like that emotional energy. So I'm excited to listen to the rest of it, and hopefully, I feel like it will continue that same sort of trend. So I'm very stoked.
Yeah, cool, man. I'm glad.
Awesome. Next question, Kyle. Another fun one, obviously pertaining to the influences, but obviously more currently. What have you been jamming recently? What's on your Spotify? What have you been listening to lately?
So, I've been listening to a lot of like death metal, like 90s death metal.
Okay.
I think it's because as I kind of get out of the emo phase that I was in as I was younger, I'm starting to explore genres that generally aren't as emotionally vulnerable. But in terms of like guitar playing and stuff, it's like it's so good for my guitar playing to listen to technical music like that. But also like bands like that are metal and technical, but still have that soul to them, like bands like Gojira.
Yeah.
And like I love Gojira. I love how emotionally vulnerable it is, but it's also just like aggressive and. But also I've been listening to this band called Drab Majesty.
Oh, yeah.
Which I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
I have, actually.
But I love Drab Majesty, and I found out about them from Death Heaven did Amoeba Records, like What's in My Bag, and they were talking about Drab Majesty, and it's just like a combination of like the Cure's Pornography era, which is a super dark gothic, kind of mixed with Depeche Mode and like Duran Duran. And I've always been into gothic like music since I was like 17, 18. I've always had that, I've always loved Susie and the Banshees and The Cure and stuff like that. So like Drab is very much like a modern version of that, and I've just been listening to that new album. There's a song Ellipsis on there. That's just the ending of that album, like is just so excellent. So
there we go.
Death metal and goth.
Death metal and goth, baby. Keeping it real. I love it. The next thing, Kyle, a fun question. If you guys could pick a song to cover, what would it be?
I've been thinking about that a lot, and I definitely wouldn't probably want to do something that's too on the nose with our genre.
Sure.
So I probably wouldn't cover like a Basement song, or I probably wouldn't cover a Ryzan song or something like that. I was thinking about doing something like old school metal, maybe something that was recorded at a quality that maybe doesn't translate that well today. But doing like even like a Cure song. There's this Cure song called Charlotte Sometimes, which is on The End of Faith, and it came out in like 1981. And it's such a great song. It's such a great balladly goth song, but it's recorded like garbage. So like Dak can play keyboards, so maybe to do something like that, take something older that I think has a lot of value, that's kind of like a hidden gem.
Yeah.
And kind of redo it in this modern context, because our producer Josh Unit has such a good ear for taking old school stuff that I'm into and kind of tweaking it in a modern way to where it doesn't sound antiquated. And and he's also open to the old stuff I'm into. So it's just really good to take something old school. I was also thinking there's a metal band from the 80s called Venom, and they have a song called Welcome to Hell, which is like just a sick like Motorhead type song. But like if somebody were to do that like with modern guitar tone and like modern production, I think it would rip.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. There we go. Well, you got two really good choices. I would like either one. I feel like I'm a little bit more familiar with The Cure because they're a little bit more my lane. But either choice I think would be very cool. I always love when bands kind of like dig deep and do like a hidden gem track that just like rips. But if you guys have any suggestions for Anxious Arms, drop them in the comments. Probably check them out. Maybe it'll give them some inspiration to do a cover.
Hell yeah.
The next question, Kyle, another fun one, keeping it rolling. Favorite food to eat? What's the go-to?
Well, I would probably say Italian food. For most of my life, it would be Italian food, but I've been really getting into Thai lately. So I like Thai food. I like spicy stuff. So spicy Thai food. I don't quite do Thai spicy because I'm not that indestructible. I can do pretty gnarly hot stuff. So I'm pretty into Thai right now.
Yeah, Thai food will kick your ass if
Yeah.
it's spicy enough. So I am not Taiwanese, but I've definitely had spicy Thai food and I've been knocked out. So
Yeah.
I know you got to have just enough heat, but not like, like Taiwanese hot. So
Yeah. Yeah.
respect to all the Taiwanese food restaurant owners. They'll, if you want it hot, they'll give it to you hot. Like they're like, we don't give a shit if you never come back here again. We'll just be like, we're gonna give it to you hot, and you gotta respect it.
Well, like when you eat Thai food, it has like the seeds in it, and you're like, this is gonna do me a physical violence. Um, See, I like to skirt the line between danger and so
Just
like
enough.
yeah, it could either be amazing or it can be a complete catastrophe. So
Yeah, you'll find out the next day if it's a complete catastrophe or not. That's how
yeah.
that is the true determiner. We're not gonna go further than that, but I feel like people know if you've had spicy food, because I also am like a spicy food fanatic. I love like hot sauce and shit, and I can tell you I've gotten my ass kicked. I actually have a video on here which people can check out later that I just got my ass whooped by some hot and spicy shit. So so I know. But anyway, next question, Kyle. Getting back to the music stuff, if you could pick somebody to have a guest feature on your next record or a producer you'd like to work with in the future, who would it be?
um, you know, I think it would be probably more standard to say somebody like super famous or something like that, but have like Dave Grohl play drums or something. But I have a buddy named Jake Kilgore. He plays in a band called Chrome Ghost, and we've been talking about plans of maybe doing a split together. They're very popular in the metal scene right now. They're actually supposed to play with Yob, and it got canceled. So they're like kind of on their way towards the top, and he's just like phenomenal. He can sing like Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains,
Whew.
and but he can also like death metal scream. So I'm thinking that I'm hoping I can get him to get on some of our newer stuff, some brutal death metal screams. Jake has been a big influence on us in terms of going more in a metal direction. I said that in I think we did something for like Brooklyn Vegan or something like that, where I was like, yeah, dude, like Chrome Ghost, I saw them play and I was like, oh my god, it just blew my head, so hard that like I was just like, dude, like I think we need to go in a metal direction. And so getting Jake to play on one of our records, I think, would be super dope. In terms of the producers, again, like I would love to have some big famous producer, but our producer Josh, dude, I'm so happy with him. He played in a band called Wolf and Bear.
Yes.
And so he has experience. He knows what it's like to tour. He knows what it's like to really grind. And he understands that. He doesn't try to make us into something we're not. Instead, he tries to bring our kind of, the fact that we're not a perfect band. We're kind of, like an aggressive kind of, darker band. He tries to get that out of us. But if I had to pick somebody else, I would probably pick like Will Putney or somebody like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. Like, but the stuff he did for Body Count, dude. You ever listen to Body Count? That shit is so hard.
Oh yeah.
That shit is so hard, dude.
I mean,
Like,
anything he does, it just hits like a 16-ton truck. Like I don't.
Hell yeah.
He could be like doing like some like pop act, and I'm sure it just sound like crushing. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. I don't know if he'd ever do that, but I mean, I feel like if he did, it would just be big. Like so. Shout outs to Will because he's a New Jersey boy, so I gotta give him some shouts. But I know Jack and I have talked extensively about Josh. I think he's one of the up and coming guys. Like I hear it all the time, and it's good to hear because I know he does great work. So, shouts to Josh. Josh, hit me up, man. Let's do some shit. But no, that would be awesome. I loved your choices. It's like, because I feel like it plays really into like your role in your band, and I feel like, you know, I appreciate that you didn't go like, yeah, I want to have like Dave Grohl on the track or like something like that. I mean, I feel like people do that, and that's cool. But I love when like a band's like, yo, what works for my sound, and like what can like elevate what we're doing. So hopefully, we'll get some split news very soon. Who knows?
Yeah.
But the next question is, obviously you do vocals, Kyle, and you play guitar, but if there was another musical instrument you could master, what would it be?
Well, I did play bass in my first band. That's how I kind of learned, was through playing bass. But I would probably, if I had to pick an instrument that I would like to learn, get good at, would be keyboards.
Ooh.
Just because, like, you know, I'm in that goth shit, and sometimes I like hear Grab Majesty. I'm like, dude, we got to get some kind of synth on here, even if it's in the background buried to where you can't hear it. Still having like some dope ass synth, like, you know, like some organ music. I mean, it wouldn't be corny. I'd make it at least corny as possible, but like, dude, I love that, like, you know, goth kind of 80s synth type of stuff.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I feel like that would be any sort of like bands that have like piano, or like they actually have like a piano player. It's not like a backtrack thing, like they have somebody out playing the keyboard. Oof, I love that stuff. I love the symphonicness of the keyboard. So check out Anxious Arms with keys or synth in the coming years. I'm not gonna say it because I feel like I want to put Kyle on a timer, but you know, coming soon, possibly.
Yeah, dude. Like, you gotta hold us to it. If our next record doesn't have any synth on it, you gotta be like, what the fuck?
I'll say it in my review. I'll be like, Kyle, listen. Remember that interview we did back in 2020?
Bro, we're in the quarantine, and you're all fucking talking about doing synths and shit. And now, like, all of a sudden, you don't do it anymore? What happened?
What happened, man? What happened? You forgot all about that? You think I was gonna forget about that? Nah, I had the internet, dog. I could check that shit out now. But anyway, Kyle, my personal favorite question, because I'm a nerd and I like asking it, and I don't know how big of a video game fan you are, but if you could be a video game character, who would you be?
Well, Doom guy would be pretty badass.
True.
I've been playing Doom, and it's just like, you know, I love how like non-conflicted he is. Like, he sees a hell priest and he's like, I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna cut your head off. I don't care. but I don't know. Yeah, Doom guy would be cool. In terms of who I would actually like to be, oh man, probably. I mean, Leon Kennedy from Resident Evil 2 is pretty dope. Like, he's pretty cool. He doesn't seem like, at least Leon from Resident Evil 4 is kind of like a anime badass dude. I feel like in the 2 remake, have you played the Resident Evil 2 remake?
I have not, but I've seen enough videos to know what he looks like. Yeah,
he looks like an educated young man that has. So I feel like that's a safe bet.
Yeah, he's just trying to incur a zombie invasion, or whatever. So I totally get it. That's
handsome too.
Yeah, it's a respectful move. I appreciate that. You want to. I mean, I feel like the beard. I thought you were gonna go for someone like rough and tough. I'm not saying that Leon Kennedy isn't, but like I thought you were gonna go like God of War or some shit.
I mean, people always say, "Dude, you look like Jack Black from Brutal Legend."
Now I'm not gonna be able to unsee that. I'm gonna be like, holy shit. I'm gonna be watching this. I'll be like, yo, am I interviewing Jack Black right now? Holy shit, that's awesome. I'm not trying to. Don't continue that joke. I don't know if Kyle's about it. I feel like you could have like a really bad like celebrity like counterpart, and I feel like Jack Black. I feel like that's a good one. You hit gold on that. So it could be worse.
Yeah, no problem. I'm into it.
Next question, Kyle. Moving it back into the music stuff, if you were to compile a dream tour lineup, who would be on it? And obviously your band's on it, just for the record.
I would say, I would love to do kind of like a multi-generational tour with like
Ooh.
Code Orange, like Deftones. It's always Deftones would be the number one, just because like I'm from Sacramento. Well, outside I'm from the country, but I'm out from outside of
Close
Sacramento.
enough.
Yeah, and they were such a huge influence on me, kind of getting into alternative music from, the standard kind of butt rocky stuff. So like Deftones, Code Orange, Us, and then maybe like Drab Majesty, or like like some kind of like modern goth band like Twin Tribes or something like that would be super dope. And then I've always wanted to play with Basement too. So so it would be dope. So something like a multi-generational. Maybe throw Crowbar in there for the old heads. So just Deftones, the old school shit, Code Orange, the new school shit.
Ooh, I like that. Tickets are in the description. It'll be coming out 2022. Gotta give Kyle some time. Same with the keys. Gotta give him some time. I feel like you gotta give him just enough time. You want to have a little bit of pressure, but not like too much. 2022 will be around the corner. But
Oh yeah, dude.
you could blow up within the next year. So who knows?
Well, if I get out of this quarantine, dude, it's over. We're playing Monster Energy Fest. We don't give a shit.
I feel that. I'm gonna get cabin fever for sure. Like I'm like on the interview number 70 right now, and I'm just like, oh my god, like what am I gonna do? And then I got more lined up, and then shout out to all the people who did that. That's awesome. But the next question, Kyle, to kind of follow up the tour, in your opinion, who puts on a great live performance? Who just rips it?
Shit. One of the most intense live bands I've ever seen is a band from the Bay Area called Pity Party. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of them. Yeah.
Sarah, their lead singer, because we played, like, when we first started, we're kind of more of a pop punk band, because they're more of a pop punk band. We'd play these shows, like these house shows, and we'd be the little tiny band, and they would be like the headliner. And Sarah is just this over the top, like just very cute on stage, dude. Like it's so intense, and she's so genuine too that you're like kind of scared of her when she's singing, and it's just like that was always a big influence on me. When we play live, we're usually a pretty intense band, where we try to be. And I was very influenced by her starting out. I was like, oh shit, like, dude, like when they're done playing, people are like, what did I just see? So I'm super into that. Also, there's this band from Southern California called Mulholland, who we just played with a couple weeks ago, and they're just like an insane metalcore band. Just like old school, like Chariot type shit, where they're just like going insane. So those are two bands that, are people that I know at least a little bit that I super love, to kind of like, to see again. In terms of big bands, shit, just like I love like Chino from Deftones' his energy on stage. I've always been influenced by that. So.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that you're talking about, like, I wouldn't say they're both particularly smaller bands, but I love when those bands that, like, you see in those, like you were talking about earlier with the venue, like, where you see a small band in, like, either a house show or, like, a small venue, and they're just, like, going in. I don't know, like, what about it is just, like, they're ripping. Like, something's in the water when that happens, and that's great. So, I'm glad you gave a shout out to Pity Party. If you want to hit me up, like, let's come on, because I'd love to have you on. But like, they are wild. I've seen, like, I haven't personally seen them, but I've seen videos and stuff, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, first of all, shout out to the guy, whoever is holding the camera, because I'd be fucking scared to hold my shit anywhere close to that. Like, you know what I mean? I'd be like back here, and the pit would be like all the way up there, and I'd just be like, just don't hit my camera. Like, I need to pay for my rent. You know what I mean? I don't need to pay for this camera, but like, oh my god, I've seen videos. Oof. Yeah, so
Well, it's what's amazing is where I kind of viewed like I needed to step it up is that she transitioned to playing guitar and she's still fucking crazy. Like she's even crazier than she was before she played guitar.
she just needed the instrument. It was the extra
Yeah,
power,
dude.
you know?
Yeah, Sarah from Pity Party is the underrated punk legend.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also just I love that you shouted out the Chariot because again they're one of the premier top bands that I feel like a lot of people reference just because their shows are just like balls out, like nuts, like nuts. So hopefully, if you guys come toward the East Coast, I need you to just be throwing your guitars. I need to see blood everywhere. You know, I need to see all that shit. Like it's got to be. You're telling me you're putting on all this energy and you're taking like cues from these bands. Listen, Kyle, I know we got a lot. We have a list already of things that need to happen. That's one. I feel like that's top. That's number one right there.
Yeah, you've never seen like between me and Jack, you've never seen two slightly overweight men go so hard and sweat so much. So hopefully,
I've seen photos of Jack. That man goes hard. I haven't personally seen any of his bands. I've obviously met and hung out with him. But like haven't seen any of his bands play. So Jack and Kyle, come on. You guys got to like I feel like you guys are in the band together. So now like, you know, I'm already 50% invested now. And I already like fucked it up with Zach earlier, so it's fine. But like, you know, you guys gotta come out to the East Coast now, because now I'm gonna be very upset.
totally. We're definitely, if we can do it, we'll do it.
There we go. Awesome. Next question, another fun one. Favorite TV show, favorite movie?
Favorite TV show. I would probably say. I would probably say Parks and Recreation is probably my favorite TV show. Just because you can watch it, you know, if you visit your parents and you're bored and you can watch it with them, you know. Yeah. But also I would say like I'm into like war documentaries and stuff like that. So I'd say like Band of Brothers is probably my favorite TV show.
Yeah.
But it's more of a mini series, but yeah.
Close enough.
I'll probably say that. Yeah. And then my favorite movie, dude, is probably I'm a big horror movie guy. My girlfriend Summer, she's way more metal than I am. When she first met me, I was like a little emo kid, and then she was like, "No, dude, you got to watch Evil Dead." So I'd probably say like, I would probably say my favorite movie of all time is this A24 movie called Eyes of My Mother.
Oh,
which is in all black and white. It's just about kind of like sort of hot but sort of weird. Like I think she's like Turkish or something like that, and it's this girl who just goes crazy, and it's I don't want to spoil it. It's very gruesome, but it's all in black and white. It's shot beautifully. It's a modern movie. Eyes of My Mother. It's dope.
I'm not a big horror fan, but I've seen a few A24 movies, and I can tell you, cinematically beautiful. Just movie wise is not my cup of tea. I'll sleep with both my eyes open and not sleep. So I know to stay away from that. I think it's good. People enjoy those movies. Sick. I think cinematically they're beautiful, but again, at the same time, I'm like, your boy won't sleep for days. So boy needs sleep. So
understandable.
But the next question, Kyle, if you were trapped on a desert island for the next month and there was one record you could bring with you, what would it be?
The Cure's Disintegration.
Ooh, wow.
That,
okay.
1989. I have it on vinyl. I have a pretty decent vinyl setup in my garage, and
I feel that.
So in the quarantine, I kind of am on my island, and you know, it's like I can't really go and get records unless I order them. So I've been listening because it's a long record, but it's just a record. The more you listen to it, the more you can peel back and find something new about it. And you know, it has kind of, you know, more intense parts, especially towards the end. So it does kind of have a little bit of that heaviness, but also it's just like it's an album that's made to be listened to front to back. And so you know, the fact that I have listened to it over and over and over and over again, I guess, is a good
It's a good
sign.
indication. Yeah.
It might be the record I bring with me.
What is that your favorite pickup that you ever gotten? Like that was that is that your prize? Is that your prized possession? Because I know there's like ones that I've picked up that have been like, holy shit, this is awesome. But there's some that I have in there that are just like still sealed up, not gonna play. Like they're special. You know what I mean?
Well, I would say probably my most prized possession. I have a original pressing of Joy Division's Unknown Pleasures.
Ooh, okay.
I bought for not that much. I bought for like $45 or something at a local record store here in Sacramento. And yeah, dude, I don't play it that much because I don't want to mess it up. But yeah, that would probably be the most valuable record I own.
Ooh, nice. Not because I'm telling people to go to your house, because you know we're not about that. So if you know where Kyle is, don't do that. No good. I wouldn't be too happy about it because I am a vinyl collector. So I would be very disappointed in you if you did that. But the last thing, Kyle, the most important thing, tell them about your band Anxious Arms, where they can find you at, and anything coming up in the next couple of months. And also this interview is coming out in May. So just
yeah. So yeah, you can find us at Anxious Arms CA on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. So we probably post the most to Instagram. That's where you're gonna find out the most about us. We do post to Twitter, but yeah. So Instagram, man, and we have a new music video out called "On Soul and Subjection," which is on YouTube. And it's us and the colony going as hard as humanly possible. So if you're into that, then you know hopefully it'll work for you.
if you're into just grown men sweating,
yes,
profusely. I saw the video, man. It was great. Like obviously I wasn't there, but I was just like, holy shit. I was like, you guys go hard. So I gotta give the tip of the hat through respect, because that, you know, it looked like it was just a sweaty fun time, and I'm about those shows. Those shows are some of the best ones. So huge shout outs to Jack, because I know Jack is probably gonna watch this. So massive shout out to him. I've always had a lot of stuff, and also because this video is coming out on the release date, check out Jack's new record for his new band, which an interview will be coming out. It will already be out by the time this one comes out. But go check out Anxious Arms. All the links are in the description, where you can find out about their band, their music. Go check out Anxious Arms. Seriously, very sick band. Definitely kind of infuses like kind of an emo-ish, post-hardcore, metal kind of vibe. So if you're into those genres, like cross-genre sorts of bands, because I'm not really a genre Nazi, but I feel like if you just like good music, like just generally, go check out Anxious Arms. And if you enjoyed this interview, share it, like it, subscribe. Make sure to go tweet at Dave Grohl, because I know realistically, I know what Kyle wants. So go tweet at Dave Grohl and Foo Fighters, and who knows, maybe they might do some sick stuff, or then at least Dave Grohl will notice me. So that's what I really want. I just want Dave Grohl to notice both of us. Maybe a little bit more me, because I'm a little selfish in that respect, but I think equally, Dave Grohl, shouts to you if you watch this, because you're a homie now, and you should come on. But huge thanks to Kyle for coming on and running the gauntlet today.
Yeah, dude. Thank you so much.